Hey everybody, spoiler day 6, let's get into it. So today we actually got two spoilers. One, talking about Last Recall, which has always been a fan favorite, and two, all the tier 1 relics have been spoiled. So I'm going to touch on both of those spoilers. I'm also going to touch on all the different options you're going to have for tier 1 relics, and we're going to do a slightly deeper dive into Endless Harvest and Production Prodigy. I'll give you, my comparison of Production Prodigy versus Production Master and why it's a lot more powerful. And we are going to skip Trickster this time around just because it was spoiled on day 1. So if you want to see my full in-depth analysis, go to my previous day 1 spoiler video. Also, don't forget that Trickster did have a fire making update that I talked about in the last video on the day 5, that 9 logs will burn instantaneously at Wintertide. So that is a nice little buff. I have some more thoughts on it in the last video, so definitely check that out. And then lastly, I'm going to give you some key insights onto how to choose your tier 1 relic. I'm not going to make that choice for you or recommend which one is best, because it's going to depend on a lot of information that I'll kind of touch on. But I want to give you guys the best information you can to make that best choice for you to have a really fun, successful league. So let's get right into it. So for those of you who don't know what Last Recall is, this pretty much stores, the crystal stores your current location when you cast the teleport skill. So let's say you're killing a boss and you run out of prayer, you can quickly use your Artie Cloak to teleport to the monastery. And when you use the Artie Cloak, it'll store your current location in the orb. So you teleport out, you recharge your player at the monastery, and then you break this crystal ball, and you'll teleport immediately back to that boss. And you can kind of just pick up where you left off, and just keep killing the boss. It's insanely powerful. A couple other uses, for example, could be like rune crafting. So you can teleport to a bank, reload your inventory, teleport right back with Last Recall to the rune altar. And rune crafting, that's typically a very painful, slow skill to level, is pretty much instantaneous for that. So Last Recall, everyone's going to get it. It's going to be super, super valuable. There's going to be so much use out of it. And I'm so happy that you're not having to kind of make a decision whether you're going to use Last Recall or Globetrotter, for example. Okay, so one of the things that they spoiled was all the tier 1 relics, and they actually have details on all of them, so I'll touch on that in a second. One thing I just want to point out here again, Last Recall was not found. It is not one of the relics. That's what they're hinting at. Also, Globetrotter is confirmed to be a tier 2 relic, so I'm more curious as to what the other maybe teleport type of relics are going to have. Globetrotter is already a boosted version, and Last Recall used to be one of the alternate options. So now we don't know what those options are for tier 2. So I'm kind of looking forward to what they're going to spoil. But I think Globetrotter is really, really powerful. So definitely keep that in mind as you're making your decisions. And let's get into the tier 1 ones. I apologize that the slide here is getting cut off. The next slide actually has Endless Harvest again. So if you're hoping to pause the video and just read the slides, just wait a second. The next screen will have it. So you have pretty much 3 options here at the tier 1. You're going to have Endless Harvest, that's going to boost your gathering skills. You're going to have Production Prodigy, which is going to boost your production skills. And then you have Trickster, which are kind of those utility skills that you have in RuneScape that are a little bit annoying. And Trickster has some really nice quality of life improvements for those. So pretty much it's all about skilling at the tier 1 relic. So Endless Harvest, the text, they did reword it, but it is pretty much exactly the same as it was in Trailblazer. Now in Shattered Relics, if I'm remembering correctly, they had a 3 times multiplier. So this is slightly a nerf from what Shattered Relics had, though Endless Harvest without that is already really, really strong. And the reason is you can unlock Karam bombs really early because we have access to Karamja, and that means you can just AFK fish Karam bombs and bank your 99 fishing and your 99 cooking. With the new AFK timers, you can now AFK for 25 minutes using the RuneLite client, and that's just going to be a ton of experience that you bank in fish, right? If they do have a 50 mil XP goal as a master task, you're going to be able to do that no problem with this skill, right? The same goes for mining and wood cutting. You're going to be able to AFK redwoods for 25 minutes, and then for mining, or redwoods will deplete and you'll have to move and reset your location. But again, you'll be able to AFK for a very long time. And in addition to that, don't forget that rune crafting you're going to be able to mine the rune essence for also that maximum 25 minutes. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why the hell would I do that? Well, at 16 times multiplier, it's going to be actually a substantial amount of experience that you can AFK, which is really nice. In addition to that, if you remember last recall, being able to teleport you back and forth from altars, if you AFK mine a bunch of rune essence, you're going to be able to craft pretty much infinite runes depending on how much time you spend mining, right? So those are going to be some really great impacts for Endless Harvest. And even though they didn't really buff it, and even though Jagex kind of had this trend of like kind of taking every relic that had in Trailblazer and giving it a slightly little more of an edge, they didn't buff this time. I think it's still going to be a very powerful relic, especially if you're looking to get in some quality AFK time. If you're busy with work, busy with kids, if you're busy editing videos and you just want to enhance your AFK experience, this relic is going to be great for you. Production Prodigy. So now in 2020, we had Production Master, which was pretty much the same exact skill minus the last two bullets here. So the last two bullets are really, really important and they're really, really powerful buffs. So now every time you spent, doing a production skill, whether it's smithing, fletching, herb lore, cooking, or crafting, you're going to get 25% extra product. Now, for those of you, doing your farm runs and collecting your herbs, when you clean that herb, there's a 25% chance a clean herb is going to be waiting for you in your bank. That's awesome. That's more herbs. When you combine them into unfinished potion, they're going to be 25% chance to have unfinished potions in your bank. And then when you add your last ingredient, there's going to be a 25% chance to have another completed potion in your bank. If you take that and you multiply, 1.25 times 1.25 times 1.25, because it's additive at every tier, that's 1.95. So you're almost going to be making almost nearly double the amount of potions that you started with. This is also very valuable for fletching. So when you cut a log into an arrow shaft, you have 25% chance to get extra arrow shafts in your bank, again with headless arrows. And then when you tip them finally to make the arrow, 25%. So 3 times 25%, so 1.25 times 3, or 1.25 times 1.25 times 1.25, again, 1.95. So you're pretty much going to be making double arrows. Now, I know what you're thinking. If you're going for the range relic, that's not so important for you. But for those of you going for the mage or the melee relic, and maybe you're picking your region so you don't have access to an Ava's device early on, being able to double up the number of arrows, or 1.25 timesing the number of bolts you make, for example, because when you smith into bolts and then you tip them with the feathers, you have that double chance again. It's going to be great, right? So just keep that in mind. I think that's how it works. If I'm incorrect, definitely leave a comment below and correct me. But I think this is actually a really powerful buff to get way more resources or finished products. Right? Not resources. And in addition to that, you're also going to have all your levels boosted by 12. So we used to have this other tier 1 relic called Skilling Prodigy. And so they kind of just merged the names together, Production Prodigy, and they gave you a plus 12 boost to all of these production skills. Now, Skilling Prodigy was a lot more powerful because it was a plus 12 boost to all skills. And that just meant you had higher strength levels, you had higher attack levels, you had higher slayer levels, so you can get that early whip. Everyone was kind of picking it for those who wanted an early fast advantage in the league start to get ahead. It was really powerful. This time around, it's still powerful. You're gonna skip some of those early tedious levels. And then for example, when you're smithing, onyx jewelry or things like that that are way at the higher ends, you're not gonna need those high levels. You're gonna be able to finish around 70s and 80s and then still be able to do 90 level things just by this plus 12 boost, right? And it is league, so you're gonna be able to hit those 99s pretty quickly, but this will just kind of help you get out of the mid game into the late game a little bit earlier on. So again, I'm a really big fan of this skill. I'm kind of leaning towards this one. It's going to be a huge, powerful relic. And as I mentioned, we're going to be skipping Trickster this time around. As you can see, Trickster affects Hunter, Thieving, Agility, and Fire Making. Again, watch the day 1 video and the slight update from day 5 on how Fire Making is impacted at Wintertide. Super good. So now, most important thing that you're probably wondering is, which relic am I choosing and why? Well, I'm not going to tell you which relic is best for you. Now, don't let these icons say, oh, Production Prodigy is the best. It affects the most skills. That's not necessarily important, right? You need to think about the regions you're unlocking, and based off of the regions, what training methods are there? Now, I'm have fixed my regions as the Desert, Asgarnia, and Turnwind. And so thieving for me is like a little bit annoying, and pickpocketing elves and things like that are going to be frustrating. So actually, Trickster is probably one of the best utility relics for me to get my thieving up. Now, Hunter, everyone has access to Fossil Island. So for my Hunter training, I'm probably just going to be kind of doing some daily birdhouse runs, and that's how I'll get that up. Agility, I don't mind running rooftop courses. I'll be doing some, alking and rooftop courses or something. Plus, there's usually a lot of tasks around it. But again, Trickster is really going to fix my thieving requirement, right? And getting that to 99, being able to steal from elves without failing, getting infinite crystal shards is going to be really, really powerful for me. So I'm actually thinking Trickster might not be such a bad idea for me. And for those of you who are picking similar regions, that might be good, right? For those of you, as I mentioned, talking heavily about the AFK gathering skills, if you're going to be busy a lot throughout the day, but you want to keep making those league progress gains, and you can AFK on your phone or on your PC somewhere on the side, you can definitely take Endless Harvest. I think it's a great option for you. And then Production Prodigy just has so much going for it on the production side. I think it's just going to be a really powerful relic as well. So figure out, based off of what regions you're unlocking, what are your training methods in each of those regions, right? That's going to be important. And whichever skills that you might just kind of hate doing, but you still want to get that 99 because you want to get the max cape, or you just want to max. Maybe you want to get a relic that assists with those. That's why you can kind of come back to this video, just look at this screen and say, hey, you know what? My thieving doesn't look exciting. I'm just going to look at the screen and say Trickster is the one for me, and that's what I'm going to pick, because that's what's going to give me the best quality of life for the rest of the league, right? And one other thing I want to point out is we don't know what the rest of the relics are, so don't lock in your choices just yet, right? So for example, for Production Prodigy, I'm hoping that they come out with the Infernal Axe, the Infernal Pickaxe, and the Infernal Harpoon again. What that's going to do for me is every time I mine, let's say an adamant rock, right? I'm going to automatically smith that into a bar. And if I have Production Prodigy, there's a 25% chance I'm going to have an additional adamant bar waiting for me in the bank. That makes my gathering skill for mining also, get extra resource and do that. And now I don't know if we're going to get the experience for that 25%, or it'll just be the smithing experience, right? There's some details I haven't really worked out and finalized yet. But again, if that relic comes out and we have those resources, it's going to be a great combo with Production Prodigy. So just kind of keep that in mind. Wait for the other relics. Figure out your regions. If you're still unknown, don't worry. There's a lot more information that's going to change your strategies. But kind of keep it in mind as to, look, I want relics to kind of make my quality of life and my gaming experience fun and enjoyable and easy. And that's why you should pick the certain relics that you're picking. That's all I have for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you stayed this long, I really appreciate it. One thing I want to call out is some people have asked if I'm going to be streaming. I will try to stream day 1 and 2, and that'll depend on if I have a lot of people who are interested in watching me stream, and you guys want to follow along in my journey and my strategies. So if you guys want, I'm going to put my Twitch link in the description. Just give it a follow. If I start seeing those follows go up, I'll definitely be inclined to stream. Otherwise, I still might do it. I'm not 100% sure yet, but that's still TBD. But again, if you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, and you want to stay following me and getting my analysis on all the updates, definitely subscribe. If you found this helpful for you in making your decisions for your tier 1 relics, definitely give it a like. And if you have any thoughts or comments, just leave them below. I really appreciate it. And thank you guys all for watching. Have a great one.